bill was later passed into law. Marjorie Gordon, CVM News.
A high-profile investigation should soon be underway into what led to an emergency landing of an American Airlines flight in Montego Bay today. No one was hurt in the incident. Chief Commercial Officer for MBJ, the company which manages the Sangsters Airport, Elizabeth Brown-Scotton, told our news centre that it will be American Airlines officials who will carry out the investigation. More from Andrew Cannon.
A scare in mid-flight. An American Airlines Boeing 757 aircraft flying between Ecuador and Miami landed around 2:15 Friday afternoon at the Sangster International Airport after the pilot expressed concerns. The potentially dangerous scenario that unfolded in Montego Bay conjures up images of what happened in Kingston in December of 2009 at the Norman Manley Airport when an American Airlines aircraft overshot the runway, leaving passengers gasping even as they contemplated frightful thoughts of what if. As investigations still continue into really what happened with that situation, Friday's emergency landing was prompted by speculation about the engine.
And they requested emergency landing at Sangster International due to a captain's concern with an engine. We don't know what the concern was, but they requested emergency landing. So they landed safely with no incident.
The airport's emergency crews then escorted the aircraft to the gate. It has been decided by American Airlines officials to have the plane remain in Jamaica for checks. The passengers in the meantime were re-accommodated on 2 other aircraft which were outbound to the U.S. 155 passengers and 7 crews were aboard the plane. The MBJ official was pressed for more details about what prompted the landing, but referred us to another source.
Well, you know, I can't speak to exactly what the problem was. You would have to check with American Airlines. But certainly it was something that the captain felt that he would rather be safe and asked for an emergency landing at Sangster, and we were more than happy to accommodate with the services that we have available here.
When our news centre made a query, we were told that the airline's manager who should handle such queries was on leave. And when we contacted the Kingston-based official, he told us he did not know of the incident. It's not certain when the plane will be released from Jamaica.
The aircraft is still at the gate, and I believe that American Airlines is looking at the aircraft to determine when it will be able to depart.
So thankfully, a safe landing. Now the investigations take off. Andrew Cannon, CVM News.
How to keep airlines flying to Jamaica is one of the foremost challenges being tackled by the newly formed Tourism Advisory Council. This is because Jamaica is not proving as attractive to airlines as other destinations. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett highlighted this and other concerns ahead of the first meeting of the council. Dara Smith reports.
90,000 Jamaicans are employed directly through the tourism sector, while 286,000 are estimated to be employed indirectly. Based on Tourism Ministry data, 10% of the entire population earns a living from tourism, which represents 30% of the total workforce. Minister Bartlett believes that the industry provides the mainstay of the employment-generating capabilities of Jamaica at this time. But he says the real challenge is getting the public sector to understand what tourism is all about and the macro planning needed to enable it to benefit fully. He now wants greater sensitization of the public sector
to the importance of this key catalytic role that tourism plays, so that the temptation for greater fiscal demands are reduced, and a recognition that the flows of revenue come from so many streams as a result of a strong and active and effective tourism sector.
He points out that there are immediate issues such as marketing, expansion and growth. Minister Bartlett has appealed to sector players to find the resources to get more viable routes to attract more tourists.
The challenge for us is that these emerging markets are long-haul destinations. And therefore, the investment is going to be a heavy one as we enter these markets. Putting all that together, therefore, I believe that we have a very tall agenda for the next few months and years.
So in trying to make the sector more viable, sector players who form the Tourism Advisory Team headed by Maurice Facey believe tourism is the only major industry to bail the country out of its current problems.
We have the most beautiful island in the Caribbean, by far. It's not that there's any sort of close competitor. It means that if we really perfect the whole tourism, all the aspects of tourism, I think we'll create what the minister is hoping for, a significant improvement in our present position.
Dara Smith, CVM News.
In a Newswatch follow-up, the Central Executive of the Jamaica Teachers Association has come out in full support of immediate past President Michael Stewart. Mr. Stewart, who is a principal of Porus High, is featured prominently in the Public Accountability Inspectorate report, which highlights, among other things, breaches of certain procurement guidelines. However, the JTA has expressed full and unconditional support for Mr. Stewart and believes certain statements made by Finance Minister Audley Shaw on the matter are malicious, with the intent of undermining the integrity and credibility of Mr. Stewart. The JTA also expressed alarm that it understands Herbert Morrison, whose principal is the president-elect of the JTA, is to be investigated. The government has dismissed all claims of bias.
The hunt for the man believed to be Christopher Dogpaw Linton's right-hand man continued today. Nesbeth, also called Firekey, was held Tuesday in a section of Red Hill St. Andrew, but yesterday the police reported that he was inadvertently released. Police said several operations were subsequently launched to recapture him, and they issued an appeal for him to turn himself in at the nearest police station.
Meanwhile, the two women who were found with a dog paw in a house in Ellison Flats when he was held earlier this week were remanded in custody today. They are 23-year-old Crystal Brown and 30-year-old Kedisha Lawrence. They both appeared before the Halfway Tree Resident Magistrates Court on a writ of habeas corpus. Our news center understands that despite their lawyer arguing that they were actually being held hostage by Dogpaw at the time when they were held, the judge denied the bail request. The women have been remanded until February 4 to allow the police more time to continue their investigations.
The Denham Town Police have issued a wanted list for 5 men. Detectives want to question the men in relation to cases of murder, shootings, and other serious crimes committed in the division since the start of the year. They have been identified as Juicy of Rosetown, Kingston 13, another known only as Vivian of Tuwari Crescent, Rosetown, Puff Daddy, also of Rosetown, Andrew Mason, also otherwise called Andrew Ferguson, and Courtney Otis Wright, also known as Mackerel. Police say the men are to report to the Denham Town Criminal Investigations Branch to be questioned. Additionally, anyone knowing their whereabouts is being asked to contact the Denham Town Police at 923-6441, Police 119 emergency number, or the nearest police station.
Police Commissioner Owen Ellington has sternly reminded Jamaica Constabulary Force members to adhere to the guidelines governing the operation of the Witness Protection Program. Commissioner Ellington, in this week's force orders, said it has been observed that the procedures and the guidelines governing the operations of the program are not being properly followed. According to the Commissioner, this has resulted in delays in the processing of witnesses waiting to be placed on the program. He has urged commanding officers who have been affected by this problem in their division that the divisional crime officer is required to deliver or have delivered all applications for the program by hand to the Criminal Investigation Branch headquarters.
Tensions have reportedly eased between Jamaica and Honduras after a recent incident in which the Jamaica Coast Guard shot at a group of Honduran fishermen fishing illegally in Jamaican waters. 1 Honduran died, and authorities from that country alleged the Jamaican Coast Guard used excessive force. Last October, over 30 Honduran fishermen seen here were rescued in Jamaican waters after their fishing vessel abandoned them upon seeing the Coast Guard. Honduran diplomats visited the island this week, and the local Foreign Affairs Ministry says Jamaica provided consular information to the Honduran side on their 2 vessels, which have been in Jamaican custody since earlier this month. The Hondurans also got an update on the 30 crew members who had been detained at facilities in Kingston, and they thanked Jamaica for the medical attention provided to the injured fishermen. They also visited their nationals at the Horizon Remand Center Center and at the National Chest Hospital. The Foreign Affairs Ministry says the cases involving the 3 vessels are far advanced and are expected to be resolved shortly.
Due to overwhelming interest in the divestment of the Mavis Bank coffee factory, the Development Bank of Jamaica has extended the deadline for the submission of bids. The date is now March 4 instead of February 11. The Development Bank is administering the process, and according to Managing Director Milverton Reynolds, potential investors have asked for additional time to facilitate the due diligence in the submission of their bids. The government is seeking investors to acquire its interest in the factory, and the investor is expected to undertake the financing, development, operation and management of the business. The Mavis Bank Coffee Factory is the largest processor of the world-famous Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee and is also a seller of a variety of roasted products under its signature Jablum label.
Work is far advanced on the Kwaminas to Lionel Town transmission pipeline project being undertaken by the Rural Water Supply Limited to benefit 5 communities in southern Clarendon. The communities of Lionel Town, Mitchell Town, Portland Cottage, Rocky Point and Salt River will shortly have an upgraded water supply system. Phase 1 of which is now underway will see 9 kilometers of pipeline being laid, costing $105 million.
I wish to point out that the Honorable Minister of Water and Housing, Dr. Horace Chang, has mandated the Board of Rural Water Supply Limited to significantly improve and increase the delivery of piped potable water to rural communities throughout Jamaica. And since April 2008 to date, we have delivered in excess pipe water to in excess of 28,000 persons.
By the end of March, it's expected that the figure will increase to 73,600 people receiving potable water since April 2008. Speaking on a tour of the project, Southeast Clarendon Member of Parliament Rudyard Spencer says though long in coming, tremendous progress has been made, which will see the project being completed on time. He's now urging the residents to ensure that they pay their water bills.
The residents of Lionel Town, Mitchell Town, Portland Cottage, Rocky Point and Salt River can look forward to this day when they will get 8 inches.
Well, this is a 10-inch line here now.
10-inch line they are getting instead of 4 that was there.
4 that was there, yeah.
So you can imagine what will happen to them. But I will also appeal to them to pay their water rate. They can't complain now. They are going to get water in abundance, but they must pay their water rate.
Remember the food crisis across the world a few years ago? Now there's another warning that the world is on the verge of what could become another food crisis. The Food and Agriculture Organization says the FAO Food Price Index at the end of 2010 returned to its highest level. The organization notes that drought in Russia plus lower crop harvests than expected in some developed countries have triggered a process of soaring agricultural commodity prices on international markets. The FAO admits that the current situation is different from that of 2007-2008, when price increases mostly affected grains, which in turn pushed up chicken and fuel prices in countries like Jamaica. This time it's mostly sugar and oilseeds that are seeing increases. However, the FAO cautions that there's a serious drawdown of cereal stocks and preventive action is needed.
The annual Jazz and Blues Festival got underway in the Greenfield facility in Trelawney, and Sadiqa Dairam is at the festival and now gives us an update in this week's E-Watch.
Good night, guys. This is night 2 of the festival, and we're hoping for a better turnout tonight because last night was off to a slow start. You know, when we overheard some persons saying that last night was the poorest that they have ever seen the festival in all of 15 years. And we have the Minister of Tourism right beside me, Mr. Edmund Bartlett. And what are you thinking about last night's turnout?
Well, last night's turnout was affected by the snowstorm in the north, and a number of people, in fact in one instance we were told that some 500 platinum patrons were not able to make their flights out of the New York area. And I know that because there are some people who are coming as my guests too, who were not able to make it, but they are here today. So we're expecting, of course, that tonight will be a significant improvement. In fact, tonight should be a bumper night, bearing in mind